Today, what we're basically covering is being able to run flows or actions from the DocumentsCorePack dialog. Just if you're not very familiar with it, I just want to kind of go over the DocumentsCorePack dialog real quick. It's just come a long way. If you used DocumentsCorePack before, I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with this. The dialog has several different processing capabilities. So for example, you can do emailing with it. You can actually attach the document that you generate as an attachment to an email, or you can do rich email content, using DocumentsCorePack and attach that in there. You can save the document. There's several places where we can do that. You can save it to a note, activity attachment, save that document, push it over to SharePoint. Let's see, it also has the e-signing abilities as well, being able to use the major three e-signing companies of DocuSign, Adobe Sign, and AssureSign. That's all kind of built into this, so it's just click actions. Being able to print to local and network printers. The reason that we have a star there by network printers is it's a little bit of an interesting setup. If you're looking to do this, what I would do is suggest you go back through our webinars that you can find on our webpage. And we did do a whole webinar on that, on printing with DocumentsCorePack and setting that up. Lastly, what we have there is running processes. So running basically after we generate the document, being able to run a workflow, right? So this is kind of where the DocumentsCorePack dialog kind of stands. But as of today, what we're doing is we're adding two more little options for you. One is the ability to run an action. So you can run an action. If you've worked with actions before, you know what they are. If you haven't, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that it's very similar to a workflow, and we'll kind of go over a little bit about what you can do with those actions once we kind of get to it. And last but not least, run Microsoft Flow. So just kind of by adding this, what this does is it opens up a whole lot of possibilities using the DocumentsCorePack dialog, especially like if you're using with Flow. You can use this information, like basically all of the Dataverse, and use like the different Flow connectors to do stuff with this, all from the DocumentsCorePack dialog, right? So there's a little bit of user input, or and then you have your flows or your actions or your workflows or whatever kind of running in the background. So we're pretty excited about this because it really just kind of extends the possibility of the DocumentsCorePack dialog. One of those ways that we're basically do that is giving you that, like I said before, the ability to run a flow or Power Automate if you like. And basically it allows you to use that to process those documents and maybe add some custom logic to it. So basically what you're doing is you're defining, you're setting up these flows, and it's a little bit of a setup. We'll go through that in the demo, but you're basically able to select from a list of flows that you have, all right, and kind of run those, and that's available to you in the customer engagement or even in model-driven apps. You can do this. Basically what then happens is after the DocumentsCorePack dialog does what it's supposed to do, it goes over, it runs the flow. You have your flow basically listening for this HTTP request that we're going to push over some parameters to it. The main things that we're pushing is like the record IDs of the Dataverse records. So if you're doing a quote, it's going to push that ID over so you can use that, account, etc. The other things that we're pushing over is the document, the file name, the file size, and the document itself in base 64. So there's a little bit of a conversion that we have to do. Again, it's no worries. It's relatively simple and really, really quick to do. And we'll kind of show that off in the demo. So once you have all that information over, of course, if you've worked with Flow before, most of you kind of have, or either played around with it. You're able to do things, like you could attach that document to Office 365 Outlook email, send that off, save it to OneDrive, drop it in a Dropbox, save it to SharePoint. You can, and then also you can like manipulate things in the Microsoft Dataverse. You can just do things with that. So again, as you can see, I sometimes struggle to grasp it, but there's like just a lot of stuff that you can actually do with Flow. There's just a ton of things that are out there, and this kind of opens up that possibility for you. The next piece is being able to run actions, so utilizing actions to perform those custom actions. Again, it's you can do this in the customer engagement or in model-driven apps through the dialog here. Just basically pick the run the action, pick the different action that you want to run, and then it'll perform that Dynamics 365 action. So you can give it the input parameters that you can give to it are basically from the auto merge working item to like the note, so you can attach it to a note, an email, attach to an email content or an activity, a letter, fax, or task. What's really interesting about this is you have your input parameters that you're going to input. You're gonna kind of push things over, and then one nice thing is, like, for example, you can output entity references. The outputted entity references are automatically open, and you can do things like, for example, like what we're going to show today, like basically creating an email and also creating a task to review said document, right? So you can create those all kind of in one go. I'm not going to go into super amount of detail on this, but if you're familiar with it and you still use actions, this is a great benefit to you. Okay, so today for the demo, the first thing that I'm going to do is just kind of show you what this thing can do. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to call a flow to save to a specific SharePoint folder and create a entry on the timeline record of Dynamics on that Dynamics record. Basically, then what I'm going to show you how to do is a step-by-step of just doing exactly what I did. It's a really simple example, just so you can get a good understanding of some of the things that you can do with it. It's basically 3 steps. So we'll go through that really quickly, but we're going to create that flow in Power Automate. We're going to enable that flow to be called from the dialog, show you how to do that. And then we'll just go ahead and give it another test run. And if I'm quick enough, I'll be able to kind of show you the step-by-step, like how it goes through the flow, but it's really quick. So that's one super benefit to it. The last thing is we're going to show the action, kind of what that is. I'll show you the action that we've created, kind of go through that a little bit, and then just kind of show you how that works and kind of what you can expect from it. A couple of helpful resources down here. We have our documentation already up, and this documentation is going to be really helpful to you. Again, you'll get this in about 3 business days or so, or you can go to our knowledge base and look it up. And I'll show one of those because it's relatively important. So first thing I want to do is flip on over to my demo system here. And of course, as always, we are working with a quote, right? So the first thing that I want to do here, I've got my quote, and let's say, for example, my use case here, what I want to do here is I'm basically going to be creating a document or creating a quote here. And then let's say, for example, one of the things that I kind of thought about is, sometimes, like, because I have the dynamic SharePoint connection ready, when I go to save to SharePoint in the dialog, it's going to actually save it over here to my document. So it's going to be available to me on SharePoint under this specific record through that folder structure. But let's say, for example, that what I actually want to do is I want to all the quotes and everything like that I create, I want to put them into a specific folder in SharePoint, so that I could do something like, for example, I want to just have kind of a backup of each of them. Or let's say, for example, I have someone that goes and prints these things off at the end of the day and then kind of removes them from that folder after they print those off. If they had to go into each individual SharePoint location for each piece that was done that day, it'd take them a little bit of time. So I'm just going to make their job easier and put it into one single folder, just in one whack. So it's pretty easy. So the first thing I'm going to do when I'm creating this, I'm going to do hit my create document button. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide every step, just kind of go through the whole process just to kind of show you. So I'm going to pick my my quote template here, and then go ahead and say next. And then basically what I want to do here is I'm just going to create a PDF, and then I'm just going to show this one. I have a couple of different options here. I have a save to OneDrive, and I have a save to SharePoint and add a note. Okay, so this is what I'm going to pick here. I'm going to pick this one, and then what I do is I'll just say next. Goes through the whole process here, basically, of creating that PDF. Just pulls the information, fills it into our template, and it's going to spit out a PDF for me. Which I can then kind of quickly preview here. Right. So once I'm done with that, I'll hit finish. And yeah, this is when the whole flow starts. Now, again, like I said, it's really, really quick. So I can go over here. Let's go ahead and take a look here at my details. Let's look at my timeline. And here we go. This is my task that's been set up. This was done by the flow. As you can see, it was done. Oh, wait. My bad. There we go. Let me refresh here. There we go. As you can see, it was done just a minute ago. So it's really, really quick. It just basically sets up this note, gives me this SharePoint URL that, again, if I go ahead and go to that, it's going to automatically open that up for me. But just to kind of show you that it doesn't land here actually in the documents here. I have no document here that I've just created. It's landed in my specific folder that I set up called Flow Documents. So I have I have it set up. It shows up right in there. So as I create more, it just kind of build up in there, right? So now that's pretty interesting. How do I do that, right? So the easy way, head on over to Power Automate, head on over to My Flows. This is basically the flow that we just ran. I'm just going to recreate that for you step by step here. So in order to do that, in order to start working with this, basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just create a new flow, and I'm going to create a instant cloud flow. Okay. Here, the flow name, I can give this a name. And no, I'm just going to go real quick, call it that. Just so I don't get confused. And then I'm going to choose how the flow is triggered. What we're going to do is we're going to scroll right on down here, and we're going to choose when an HTTP request is received. So we'll pick that, and we'll hit create. Excuse me. And that goes ahead and sets up my flow for me. So the first thing that we need to do is for this one is it requires a some JSON schema, right? And you're like, well, great. How am I going to get that? How am I going to know what parameters to kind of put in there? Well, we've made it simple. Again, as I told you before, we've already gone and set this up for you. So this is our knowledge base here. If you just go ahead up in here and search for Microsoft Flow from Dialog, or just Microsoft Flow, this is the title of the article. It's basically going to tell you kind of everything step by step, what I'm kind of showing you here today. So it's a good review. The other nice thing that we have down here is for the JSON schema, we've got it right here. So all you really need to do is copy this out, right? And then come right back over to your flow and just paste it right in there. Hang on 1 second. Let me just paste it right in. Okay. And then you should be good to go. You don't need to really do anything else with that. This is all that's needed for starters to get you started. There's a couple more things that we're going to come back to here in a second. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this open. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to use our SharePoint connector. Okay, and we want to create a file on SharePoint. So we want to, once we get that information from the dialog, we get the document, we get all those parameters. We want to take that information and we want to save it to a specific SharePoint location. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a file here on SharePoint. I have to find it, check in the file, create file. This is what I'm going to do. So I need to go ahead and give it my site address, which, since I'm connected to it, I can automatically select my US demo site here. My folder path. Again, this is all really, really simple. Here I've got my, hold on. excuse me. Where is my flow? There we go, my flow documents folder that I showed before. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that. The file name is really simple. I mean, because we're passing those parameters on, we're going to take from our dynamic content from the HTTP request. We're going to select the file name. That's going to be the name of the file. And then the file content. This is where, you kind of have to pay attention a little bit because it's actually coming over as base 64. We need to convert that base 64 to binary. And how we do that is we come over here to our expressions. We're just going to look up base 64, not 54, 64. So we have this function here, the base 64 to binary. We go ahead and select that. And then we need to pass it the, oh, thank you. Sometimes it's annoying when it does that, but so we have to basically pass it. We'll pass it the document as base 64. So basically what it's going to do is it's going to take this base 64 document that we're passing to it and convert it to binary and allow me then to put that in. So there we go. That's all I need to do. Simple enough, right? So this is going to create my file on the SharePoint location. Now what I want to do is I just want to basically add that one little piece, that note to the timeline of the record, right? And this is relatively simple here as well. I'm going to go ahead and create a new step. I'm going to use the Microsoft Dataverse connector. I got it. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a new row. All right. So here I'm going to choose my table name. For us old school people, you're going to know this is an entity. This is kind of changed, but basically this is what they're asking for. And so I'm going to go ahead and do notes. I'm going to do it to notes. And then I'm going to give this a title. The note title is quote, save to share. Okay, great. The description of the note here, basically, I'm going to cheat a little bit. Again, you can do this. This isn't really like super dynamic here, but the description here is I want to, oh, wait, can I not? No. Well, let's go like this. Hold on. I can pull my URL from here. Oh, no, I just need this right here, just this piece. I'm going to need this to build this out. Again, it's better to kind of do these things as a variable, right? So you can change it so you don't have to go through and find this stuff in your flow. But I'm going to do this, and then I just need from here, from my dynamic contents, past the path. I need the path of the file or folder here. That's pretty much what I need. This path is going to return this information here, basically this little piece right here, the flow documents, and then the link to the actual document here. So, all right, once I have that, again, now don't be intimidated by this. It always kind of intimidates me a little bit because there's a whole lot of options here. Again, so basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to set the regarding here. So I'm going to be coming down here and looking for the regarding quote, actually. So the regarding quote, and then I just need to, it needs to be like so. Quote. I always have to kind of look at my little cheat sheet and make sure that I'm doing it right because it's actually called quotes, right? So then all I need to do here is give it the record ID. Find that here from where it was passed from passed to me from the dialog, and go ahead and give it the record ID here. It needs to go in here. Simple enough. This is also one thing that you really need to pay attention to. So this is actually going to let it know the record that it needs to add this note to, this annotation to, okay? So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all this flow kind of consists of. Let me just get back up here and minimize this. So it's just these 3 simple steps. That's all it was, right? So now the important part is that when I go, I'm going to save this, right? And now this is where I need to pay attention to this HTTP post URL. It's generated on save, so it does take a little bit longer. So I'll go ahead and save this up. All right, and then I have my post URL. So this is really important. This is probably one of the important steps to actually get this as a selection in the dialog. Basically, what I want to do is copy the URL here. So just copy it. Then I need to go into my settings in Dynamics. From here, I'm going to select settings. I'm going to go to mscrm-addons to products. From here, I'm going to choose the auto merge product. Okay. And what I'm looking for is a settings key. Let's see here. Where is it? It's called, where are you? I believe it's called Microsoft Flows. So easy enough. I want to go ahead and open up that settings key because I'm going to edit it. You can see here, it's really pretty easy logic. I'm going to separate this out here a little bit here. So I have 2 in here. Let me just do this for you so you can actually see it. I have 2 in here, as you saw in the dialog earlier when I was selecting it. I had the save to OneDrive and the save SharePoint to save to SharePoint and add a note. That's basically how I kind of set this up. So basically, it is the name of the dialog option or the flow. That's the easiest way to do it. And then that that URL that I copied basically from my flow after it was saved. So you need to basically name the pipe. And for those who aren't familiar, a pipe is just it looks like a line that's straight up and down, right? So that would be, let's see here. It's usually like shift backspace, the little, what you do the backslash on. So there's your pipe. That looks like, and then follow it up with the URL. Okay. If you want to add more to it, because you know you can add different options, just a semicolon in between, and then you're good to go. You save it, and then that's all you need. So this lets me know, hey, I'm using this particular flow, and for the dialog, it's important that it knows where it needs to like push that information to. That's where you're going to get that again, just so you see it again. You get that information right up here at the top of your flow, right? Once you save it. All right. So simple enough. So let's see here. I'm going to go back to my flows. Let me go into this one because this is the one I have set up. So I'm probably not going to be able to make it in time to so that you can have a look at it, step through it, because it only takes about 3 seconds. So that's one thing that's really, really nice about this. I mean, these flows take a not long time at all. The other thing that I do kind of want to point out here real quick is, as you can see here, there is no need, like, you know, that some of you know that you've been working with flows, that there's we have a DocumentsCorePack connector as well. And this, you know, you don't have to use the DocumentsCorePack connector. You can just use the dialog takes care of that entire process, and then we just pass the information on to flow that you can use it there. So that kind of opens up a lot more. So you can either, you know, choose certain times when a flow requires you, or you need to use the DocumentsCorePack connector, you can. And if not, and you just want to create things from the dialog and just use some of the things that are available to you in Flow, you can do that without having to use the DCP connector and get that all set up and everything. So really handy. So let's see if I can catch this in time here. Again, it's just a couple seconds. So let's do it one more time, just to kind of show you here, deciding every step, picking my template, picking my my flow that I want to run, saying next, and it does the document creation process. Kind of throws that together. Now, when I click finish, that's when it's gonna, you know, fire the flow. So let's get over here and see. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I didn't make it in time. So it goes through really, really quickly. So again, if I come in here, I refresh this. Let's see. Oh well, yeah, I have that set to where it doesn't override it because it's the same one. So all right. So great. That's pretty much it. I hope that was understandable. If you have any questions, again, we'll answer those a little bit towards the end. The last thing that I want to show here is the action that we've created for you, just to kind of show you that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. This is the action that we created, the review document on SharePoint task. Again, what I'm doing is I'm passing two parameters. I'm creating a auto merge working item. If you're familiar with this or you've done workflows, you're familiar with auto merge working item. But basically, what the auto merge working item is a record that tells your DocumentsCorePack service what it needs to do, right? Whether it needs to create a document, whether it needs to take that document and save it to SharePoint. That's basically how that's set up. So I'm passing parameters from it. I'm passing parameters from the email that I'm creating. And what I'm outputting is I'm going to output a task, and I'm going to show the output email. Great. So what I'm doing here in the first one is I'm just basically updating my email, with that information on it. I'm creating a task, just a simple task. Just throwing in like the quote, the new document generated for review. This is where my information that I'm passing. It's this particular field that's going to be the URL to my SharePoint location. This is some info that's being passed to it from the dialog. So I pull that here. Right, and just a few other things like the owner, the due date, etc. Just going ahead and setting all that up. This is really like the most important thing to kind of show you, just showing you that we're passing the values from the dialog to the action, and then it's going to output it. So let's kind of just take a little second and see how that works, right? So I'm going to get back over here to I'm going to close this down. I'll get back over here to my quote. Then I'll go ahead and do the create document again. Every step, pick my template. Here's a little different. So since it's expecting an email, right, I'm going to set this up as an email attachment. My recipient is the owner here, or actually let's go with Alex here. Great. And then so instead of running a flow, I'm going to run this action. So it's already picked, it's cached for me. Word of warning, there is a lot of actions that you may or may not have known are in your system already. So it's pretty good to know which action you want to do, or do this in a one-click action, right? Set this up in a one-click action for this particular thing. So here we go. So here I just go ahead and click next. Again, document creation process is going on. That's usually like the first step. Yeah, it just takes a little bit for it to create that document. And then once it's done here, go ahead and click finish. And then what I should see here, let's see. Oh, good. I don't have my, I'll get two pop-ups, one being the task that's created, letting me know that, hey, I have a new document for review. It's here on this particular SharePoint location here, right? My duration to review that document is 15 minutes. Once I'm done, I can mark that task complete. I've got my email already open. I can add, my little personalized email note, whatever, and then go ahead and send that off. So that's one of the nice things, because usually like with a workflow and everything like that, you can't like automatically open up that task for your user with all that information, things like that in there. That's one of the kind of the benefits of actions. Again, you can use those in business process flows too as well. So yeah, so that pretty much covers everything that we wanted to kind of show today. I wanted to thank everyone for coming today. I want to encourage everyone to stay safe. We're literally at the end of the tunnel. So stay safe.